Welcome back, everybody. We got some work to do. That was the easy version. That was the unreharmonized version. So we're going to quickly slide through, like, here's how you play all those notes. And then we're going to hopefully quickly get on to this new and improved wheel of reharmonization that will tell us what we're going to do today. This is not the way that I would reharmonize a song. This is not how I would suggest that you reharmonize a song. This is just some ideas of how you could go about reharmonizing any song. And every single one of the things that we talk about today is like its own thing. Like you could just take the one concept. We're going to hopefully get to like 4 or 5 or 6 of them today, depending on how much time we have. You could take just one of those things and go apply that to a million different songs and make it a part of your vocabulary. So we're going to go through several ideas. My hope is that one of these you'll be like, oh, I think I understand how that works. And then you're going to just take that one idea, that one little snippet, that 2 or 3 minutes out of the lesson and go apply that thing and make your vocabulary just a little bit bigger. Or just sit around and watch this happen and see what it sounds like at the end. In some cases, these songs sound way more awesome at the end, and some of them just kind of get destroyed. So we'll see what happens with this song. But I will tell you that if you came here to learn how to play the song, the notes are there for you. If you download the PDF at the site, it's all written in there. So the lyrics are there, and then the notes are written in. It's an F sharp, and then a G, and then an A, and then a B. And we're not going to get into how to play each one of those, because that's a different lesson. Today, we're just taking a look at the chords. The chords are also written in on top for you. So then on lift, that should be a D chord. So then after you get the melody down, lift every voice and sing. Then you would play the chords underneath it. Lift every, that's a D chord. And then on voice, you'd get to a G chord. Voice, B chord, E minor chord is the next one. And so on and so forth. Again, we're not really getting into how to do all that. If that didn't make sense, probably the rest of this lesson is not going to make much sense either. But it might be fun. I don't know. We'll see. So step 1, if you go to learnpianolive.com/reharm, all these ideas are free for the entire universe for you to check these out. What I recommend you do is the very first thing is add 7s, 9s, and 6s or 13s. And that's like the first thing you could do. There's not even a reharm, but just adds more texture to each of these chords. So then, the way we would do that is there's 2 different types of 7 that you could add in. So then if this is our D chord, there's one 7 that exists a half step below the root of the chord. So then this is the root of the chord. It's a D chord. So then there's 2 types of 7. One 7 is this one, the one that's half step below, and one of them is this one that's a whole step below. And you can add in that C sharp or that C wherever you want. However, only one of them is really going to sound great in each of these cases. The other one's going to probably not quite feel right. So you could just feel them out, or you could go according to the key. So the key is the key of G, and in most cases here, all the white notes are going to be the right notes except for Fs, which are going to be sharp. So then if you're on a D chord and you're like, well, this is a half step below the root, and this one's a whole step below the root, which one of these 2 am I supposed to use? Use the white note unless it's an F, and then you would use that F sharp. That's usually going to get you the answer to what's going to sound better. But you could also just play it and see what sounds better, because this right here with the C sounds significantly better, to me at least, than the C sharp. So either the major, we would call this one the major 7, we'd call this one the dominant 7. One of those 2 is going to work in each of these cases, and it's kind of up to you to figure that out, or just go according to the key. Cool. Let me go through and also just play all these chords for in case you're new to these chords. We have a D chord. Pause and practice that. There's a G chord. Pause and practice that. A B chord, and then an E minus or an E minor chord. You can practice that one. G over D is going to be a G chord, but with the D as the lowest note. So you could do that with one hand by just taking this D and putting it on the bottom. That's also a G over D, but I think that's how I played it. So lift every voice and sing. We're on to E minor. Till earth end. Have is G over D, and then E flat fully diminished is all these notes right there, all 4 of those. Pause and practice that. We're back to E minor, then we have an A minor that we haven't seen yet. We've got an A over C sharp right there. We haven't done that one yet. So A chord over C sharp, any A chord over C sharp, and A major. And then what have we not done other than that? I think there's only a couple chords left. Later on, we get into a B flat and then an E flat. So this is going to be your B flat chord. Pause and practice that. And then I would throw a 7 on this one. That one's going to be a tricky one to figure out which 7 is the right one. So I throw on the lowered 7, the dominant 7, the one that's a whole step below the root. Those all mean the same exact thing. And then E flat. Maybe throw on, instead of like a 7 on this one, so that would be our chord, then that would be a 7, that would be a 7. You might want to throw on a 6 for this one, which is a half step below that. So if neither of the 7s work out, then you can always throw on the 6 as well, and that works. Cool. So that's step 1, is just don't even reharm, just try adding some more texture to the chords. You could also throw in 9s, and in almost every single case, the 9 is going to be a whole step above the root. So if this is an E flat 6 chord, let's say, then this note right here is the root, E flat is the root, E flat is the root, E flat is the root. A whole step above E flat is this one right here. That would be the 9. So this is an E flat with a 6 and with a 9. Or if we put this one on here, that'd be an E flat with a major 7 and a 9. So just practicing adding in 7s and 9s and 6s, and 6s can sometimes be called 13s for reasons we don't want to get into right now, then that all automatically turns a song that sounds like into so it's already a lot more complex without doing any reharm at all. Okay, cool. The next idea, before we actually get to reharming it, is that you can add the 5 of any chord before that chord, and it will lead into that chord. Any chord that you're going to, go to the 5 of it and play that before it. So, for example, if we had, what's one that doesn't actually do it here? Oh, I think this one right here. So this A right here doesn't have a 5 before it. So if we want to throw in a chord right here, and we're like, what leads in well to an A? We're going to an A minor. That's my A minor. What is the 5 of the A minor? Well, you could either know all of your keys, or you could just go, well, that's the 1, that's the 3, and that's the 5, because a chord is made up of the 1, the 3, and the 5 of the chord. And so that is the 5. E is the 5 of A. Cool. Throw a 7 on that, and now it's really awesome. E, E7 chord. And if you don't know what an E7 chord is, and you don't know how to build it, and you don't know how I got from E7 to that thing, that's probably a different lesson. Yeah. But that is the basic idea, is whatever chord you want to set up, you can set it up with a 5 of that chord before it. So A minor, if we're going to an A minor, an E7 is going to be a great way to lead into that. So if we just throw that in, only that, ooh, this is going to be kind of cool, because we're coming from an E minor on ring, and then we're going to go to an E7. So just that much right there would be something like this. G over D, E flat diminished, E minor, E7 leads really nicely into that A. Works every time. Yeah. Now, one thing that we usually don't take into consideration when we do these reharms is like how much time there is for each of the chords. In this case, we're going to end up breaking a lot of just like really good feel rules as far as like not trying to cram too many chords in, for a couple of reasons. One is it's a gospel song, and cramming more chords in is kind of cool. And then the other reason is there's just a lot of chords in here, so there aren't a lot of wide open spaces. So if we want to put in a chord before the B, for example, what is the 5 of B? Well, that's a B, and so 1, 3, 5, F sharp is the 5 of B. So then, this gets a little bit crazy, but we could go something like lift up your voice and sing. Ring with the harmony. I don't like it at all, but that F sharp does lead into the beat. Part of the problem is that the F sharp chord is that, and the melody is that note right there. So a ring with the harmonies. So I don't know. It feels a little bit weird to me there, but any of these things, try them out, and if it doesn't work for you, then don't do it. So that is the basic idea of playing the 5 before any chord, and then we get into this craziness here. So let's try this. The first random thing we're going to do is a backdoor dominant. That is a flat 7 dominant. So this is before any chord. So backdoor dominant just means that thing that we did before where we went from like E7 to A, right? That's like a dominant chord into what it is the 5 of. It's a cycle move away if you're familiar with the circle of fifths. So E7 is the 5 of A, right? But there's another thing. So that would be the dominant chord of A minor. But a backdoor dominant is not an E. It is the chord that is one whole step below whatever chord you're going to. So we kind of have a secondary rule now. Rule number 1, you can put the 5 of any chord before it. Rule number 2 is you can put the whole step below of any chord before it. And that also kind of works. So then, for example, right here, instead of putting an E in there, we could go with a, whatever is a whole step below A. So we could go with a G7 right there, or a G major 7, a G something. We could mess with the 7s and see if we like the major 7 or we like the dominant 7. But that G would be something like till earth and heaven. That kind of works. I personally don't like it as much as I like the E. But it works. We could do that. I think I want to throw in both of them. So I'm going to try to retain the other one. I'm going to put this G7 right here, and I'm going to put this E7 right here. Now, a little while ago, I was like, usually just always use the whole step above. That's pretty much always going to be the 9 that you want. Remember that? If you do, then cool. If not, then forget everything I'm about to say. But if you remember that, the exception to that is either 1, always, because the flat 9s sound cool, or whenever you're moving to a minor chord. So for example, an E7 is the 5 of A minor, and A minor is minor because you can hear it in the name, A minor. So then on this E7, I would put a flat 9 because it is pointing to a minor chord. It is the 5 of a minor chord. And so the flat 9s are going to sound, I think, especially cool there. So here's the regular E. Here's the E7. And then what I told you before was if you just take the root, which is E in the case of E, and you go up a whole step, that's usually going to be your 9. And that is true. But in this case, we're going to use the flat 9, which is only a half step above. And that chord sounds terrible and awesome. So we're going to try using that one. And now I've got this nice, cool, fully diminished chord. These are all notes from the E7 flat 9 chord. So now we're going to use that one. So I've got a G7 and then an E7 flat 9. And that's going to lead into the A minor. So if I go back to the beginning, lift your voice and sing. Oh, that I was supposed to slow down there. Heaven, ring with harmonies. Yeah. Cool. So let's do one more of those. And by the way, the format of this song is an AABA. in case you haven't heard of that before, that means we do something here, we're going to call that A. And then we do pretty much that exact same thing again here, we call that A. If it's kind of different, we would call that A prime, but pretty much it's A. And then right here, we do something entirely different. In this case, sing a song full of the faith of the dark past has taught us. That's what we would consider the B section, sometimes called, like in pop music, the bridge, or the... what's the other thing they call it? I don't know. Anyway, and then after that, we come back to Facing the Rising Sun, which is back to the A section. Actually, usually it's the A prime section. It's more like the second part. But anyway, so the format of the song is A, B, A, in that we've got this one thing that keeps repeating. So that's why I'm not going down to the bottom part of the song, because really all we have is an A section, which is 2 lines, these first 2 lines, and then that repeats. And then we've got a B section, which is also 2 lines, and that part does not repeat. So whatever I do in the first A section, I'm planning on reusing for the other sections, the other A sections, just so we can save time since we've got a lot of reharming to do. So then, one more place where we could do this. This one is a little bit tricky here. I wanted to like select something random, and I saw this big wide open space. So I wanted to put an F in here, because F is a whole step below G, and what we're going to is a G chord right there. So we might get rid of the over D part, because G over D has a different tension than just a regular G chord. So I might switch that to a regular G chord, and then I would use an F chord right here. Right there. So that's that whole step below. That's that backdoor dominant. So if I use both of those, we now have 2 backdoor dominants and 1 place where we inserted an extra 5. The reason I've not inserted more 5s than that, like I usually do on most of the lessons, is that there's already a lot of 5s. For example, B is the 5 of E, and B goes to E in this case. Where else? Oh, really? D goes to G, and that's the 5 of G. So there's a lot of 5 to 1s already happening in here, but we can insert more later if we need to. What we have so far is lift every voice and sing. That sounds pretty good to me. Cool. Let's keep going. So that was a backdoor dominant. Again, you could just take that one idea and then try backdoor dominants through all of your songs. If you're playing, any of the tunes that you're currently working on, try backdoor dominants instead of the 5 of a chord. In other words, any chord, go down a whole step from that chord and play that as a dominant chord before the chord you're going to. It's going to work out in more cases than it doesn't. Cool. sus4, sus2, and flat 5 on longer chords. Well, as we already discussed, we don't really have any longer chords because this one just keeps like moving, keeps going to new chords. However, if we slow it all down and play really soulfully, then we've got all the space that we want in here. So I'm going to pick some random chords. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. Whew. I picked some weird ones. So then let's go in that order right there. I am not thinking about this ahead of time, otherwise this would sound better than it's about to sound. We're going to go in the order of this thing, sus4, sus2, and then flat 5. I hope that works out. So sus4 just means on your chord in the first case is going to be sus4. So we've got a G chord, and then instead of playing the 3, we're going to play the suspended version. We're going to take the 3 up to the 4. So we're going to play a G sus4 like that. And then we could resolve it down to the regular G. It's just a way to create suspense, thus the suspension part of the word. A lot of people, when they see sus, they think it means sustained, which is a different thing, and you don't write that down. So sus does not stand for sustained, but whatever. It's this thing right here. And then you would resolve it by doing that. So then a sus2 would be the opposite of that. Instead of taking your 3 and turning it into a 4, you take the 3 of the chord and you would make it a 2. And so this right here would be a G sus2 that resolves into a 3. This is a G sus4 that resolves down into a 3. Cool. The place we said we were going to use a sus2 is right here on an E flat fully diminished chord. Rawr. Okay. So then the 3 of the chord is right there. So then I guess if you wanted a E flat fully diminished, is the 1, the 3, the 5, and the 7. It'd be right there. Right there, like that. So E flat fully diminished sus2, which I don't know that I've ever seen those symbols in that order before, but we're just going at random here. So that is what we're going to play there. And then the last one would be this one right here. So the A minor, and we said we were going to do the flat 5. Okay, so we're going to go A minor, flat 5, and then we would resolve that. Let me go back to the G chord to show you what this would look like usually. So then this is the G chord, and this is the 5 of the G chord. So we would flat that into that thing right there, and we play that. I don't know how this is going to work out with this one, but flat 5 into A minor. So let's find out what this sounds like. Horrible. I need to switch some of these up because this one right here, the melody is on the B. And so as you can see here, it's a G chord and the melody is a B. So it's a G chord and the melody is a B. And then what we're supposed to be doing there is taking all the B's and changing them into C's. Maybe I'll just change the melody. Lift every E. I'll put a C right there so that we can have a C as the melody and we can have our G sus chord that resolves into the G. Okay, so then that would be something like this, man. Lift every voice. That kind of works. And sing. Yeah. Till earth and heaven. Ooh. I kind of like it. It's growing on me. Ring. Ring with. We could do a lot of that stuff. Do I want to do that? Ring. No, we'll leave it the way it is. Do more random stuff after that. Okay, so that was a sus4, a sus2, and a flat 5 on longer chords. Generally, you would do it like on Liberty, right here, like a D. We could go like D flat 5 to a D, like that. So on Liberty, that's the only place we have really a longer chord. So harmonies of Liberty. So that's that flat 5 with that. It's a little bit goofy sounding, a little bit silly. But if we did that, it would be lift every. Yeah, cool. All right. So again, every single one of those is a concept you could take and then port it over to all the songs that you've been working on. So sus4, go throw sus4s in everywhere, overuse them, make it sound terrible with sus4s, and then you will practice sus4s all over the place, and eventually it'll leak into your vocabulary. Then sus2s, then flat 5s, unless you hate all of that. And you're like, yeah, but show me something cool. I'll show you something cool. It's called reverse cycle moves. Okay, so we've done a lot with cycle moves before, and the circle of fifths is right here. So the way that you're supposed to go through the circle of fifths is here. So then this, if you go through in this direction right here. This direction will get you the 5 of each of the chords. So C to F to B flat to E flat to A flat to D flat to G flat to B to E to A to D to G to C to F to B flat, and keep going around and around. Those are all the 5s of that next thing. So in other words, C is the 5 of F. Don't believe me? Look at the F. It's a 1, 3, and 5. What's the 5 of F? It's a C. Cool. And what is, yeah, C? Cool. C was the 5 of F. And then F is the 5 of what? Well, according to the circle of fifths, it's a B flat. Let's go to a B flat and check it out and see if it is. That's a B flat chord. Sure enough, F is the 5 of B flat. So then if you just go play the chords of the circle of fifths in that direction, C to F to B flat to E flat to A flat to D flat to G flat to B, it will keep going and will never want to end. And everyone that I play that for, they're like, wait, I've heard that song before. You've heard that song before. It's every song, arguably. It's all over the place. So that's the circle of fifths. That's the way that chords want to move. A C chord arguably wants to go, especially a C7, if you put a 7 on it, then it really wants to move to an F. And an F7 really wants to move to B flat. And a B flat 7 really wants to move to E flat. Cool. And it won't end. It'll just keep going around and around and around in the circle. That's not what we're doing. What we're doing is the opposite of that. So we're changing the direction of both of these, and we're going to try going in the reverse cycle. So in this case, we would go from a C to a G to a D to an A, to an E to a B to an F sharp to a D. And so this one here, where the other one feels like each one is like a clunk down the stairs, and like you like it's just going where it naturally wants to go, and it feels to me like it's going down. I also went down. That wasn't fair. I had cheated. So if I go, now technically the notes are going up. I'm still playing the circle of fifths, the original way, the first way. So the notes are going up, but it still kind of feels like it's going down and down and down. So then this other one, to me, feels like it's going up and up and up and up. Just from a C to a G to a D to an A to an E. It feels also like it's probably never going to end, but it goes, yeah, I don't know. It sounds like that. Whatever that feels like to you, that's what it feels like to you. So it feels like it's always just like, it's almost getting there, but it's just becoming more and more like heavenly or something. So that's the feel of that. So most of you have probably already practiced cycle moves. If you're here for a reharm lesson, that's like the number one thing in reharming is go through the circle of fifths. But we're gonna try some reverse cycles. Let's try reverse cycling in right here at the end. Yeah, we'll still go to the D there. So right here, going into the G, I'm going to pick 3. Let's pick 4. I'm going to pick 4 chords here to go into the G. And so then we would use our circle of fifths in the way that we usually don't. And we would go, all right, so first thing we're going to try getting in, Oh, yeah, that's right. Getting into the G, let's try an E and an A and a D and a G. So we're going to go. Nope. All right, I thought so. Phew. Okay, my brain broke for a second there. That's the original way. That's the way you would usually go. The reverse cycle is the direction of the arrows. I tried to go opposite of the arrows, but I already put the arrows opposite. Okay, so then we would go, if we would add in 4 of them, E flat, B flat, F, and C. E flat, B flat, F, and C. E flat, B flat, F, C. And that should lead us into the G, but not in a like, here comes the ending, yay, here's your chord. It's gonna be more like, oh, and we're gonna rise up and land on this chord. Hopefully, we'll find out. On our mark, get set. I want to do that going into the chord, so that when we finally land on the G, it. So I should have put those in instead of. I should have gone. Yeah. So then I'm gonna come back here. All the same chords, but I'm gonna put them in order here. F, B flat, and then I'm gonna put an E flat before that, and here we're also supposed to land on that D. So E flat. Cool. I'm digging that. Okay, so the E flat has to happen before the F sharp. Remember that, Jabin. Okay, let's try that. I'm having a hard time cramming that E flat in there before that, so I'm just going to take it out because we don't have to go 4. I just picked that arbitrarily. Let's do that. Liber. Cool. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that. Okay. Let's see here. That's reverse cycle moves. Oh, is there another place we could do that? I was supposed to. Oh, well, I really like to do it at the end of a song as well. So at the very end down here, ba 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 ba, and we can go as far as we want. So if we want to end on a G there, especially if the melody is the one of the key, if the name of the chord is the same as the melody that you're playing, you're going to a G chord and your note is a G, then we can kind of go back as far as you want. You could go like all the way back to D flat or G flat. Let's go D flat, A flat, E flat, B flat, all that stuff. Oh, there we go. So then ba 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 bum, D flat, what did I say? D flat, A flat, go backwards, Jamin. D flat, I could play it. E flat, B flat, F, C, G. So then the end of the song is gonna go ba, 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 ba. Instead of is one, it's gonna go ba, 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 till victory is one. And it would end on that G. Cool. So that's what I would like to do with that. So that way we've used it in 2 different places, but it's just going reverse, the reverse way through the circle of fifths. Okay, you ready? Let's keep going. Maybe you already picked out something like, yeah, that's the thing I'm going to use in my other songs. Oh, I just picked one and then, sorry, I didn't hate that one, but I don't remember what it was. Lower roots by half steps on longer chords. This is called a kesh, which is a contrapuntal embellishment of a static harmony, is C-E-S-H, I believe. So then that is anytime we have some longer chord, you can just take the root down by half steps. This is probably most recognizable in minor chords. So like we have this E minor chord. So then I'm just gonna write kesh on that one. So then on this E minor chord, that's the root, and you could go. So we're just taking this same chord and moving that by half steps. So I'm just gonna put a cache there, which is the same thing as putting E minor over D sharp, E minor over D, E minor over D flat, E minor over C, or however far you want to make it. So then lift every. Have? That's that cache again, E minor. Okay, cool. That's the concept. That's a cache. Go use caches everywhere, especially on minor chords, but on major chords they work as well. So you could have like a C chord, and then, in fact, a lot of really popular songs just are that, just a cache pretty much. So like if I slowed this down and play it really dramatically and play it. This probably sounds like you've heard that before, and you have. What's the one? It's just a cache. It's just a chord where the bottom note moves down. Cool. And then, of course, all that stuff is just a minor cache as well. Okay, cool. That is a cache. Let's move on to the next thing. We already did that one. sus4s, 2s, and flat 5s. Harmonic generalization. Okay, this one's gonna be a little bit tough because for harmonic generalization, what we need to do is just go, okay, we're in the key of G. What are all the chords that could possibly be in the key of G? So that's like a G and an A minor and a B minor and a C and a D and an E minor and an F sharp diminished. All those chords, none of those chords violate the key of G. So then, like if we could do this whole entire song just with a G down here and go, it'd be boring. This is gonna be boring. Like none of that sounded like it was terribly off. It sounded a little bit boring. It didn't really have any like motion or anything. But those were all different chords. Every single note, I played a different chord, and I was just picking those chords that are in the key of G. So then harmonic generalization says just know what key you're in, and then you can kind of switch chords based on that. Or you could do the entire thing, the entire first part on a G, and the entire next part on a, I don't know, pick a random chord, a C. C is also in the key of G. And then you could do the entire next part on A minor. A minor is also in the key of G. You could do the entire next part on, so I could just pick random chords. And back when Kendra and I did those like on the spot, like reharms, whatever, a lot of that was that where like I'd find out what key was in, and then I would just like play the chord for a long time. So that in this case it'd be like lift every, so a G chord, A minor chord, B minor, C, D, E minor, and then F sharp, and then a G, and then A minor. I'm just going straight through the chords. B, C, so you could just like kind of play anything inside the key. That's the idea behind harmonic generalizations. Just generally stay inside the key. Okay, so then with that, probably the best place for this is actually on the B section, because on the B section, it's just this E minor. So that E minor stays around for a long time. So then we can just pick random chords from the key of G. So I'm going to go 2, 5, 3, 1. 2, 5, 3, 1. 2, 5, 3, 1. 2, 5, 3, 1. And then we're going to hit that D there. That D is pretty important on taut. Okay, so then the 2 in the key of G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2. The 2 is A minor. The 5 is D. The 3 is B minor. And then the 1 is G. And I just kind of threw those in randomly. So, sing a song. It's not wrong. It's not really interesting, but it does give us some change in there. So I'm going to take out a couple of those chords because I feel like they were moving too quickly in there. So yeah, let's just go straight up, actually. A minor, B minor, C, and D. And that'll nicely lead our bass line as well. So cool. All right, so that's harmonic generalization. Just pick any chord from the key. And then when you don't like it, adjust it, like I did. Okay. Alrighty, we'll keep going here. 2/5 tritone substitutions. Okay, let's do this. There's two concepts in here: tritone substitutions and also 2/5s. For tritone substitution, yeah. Okay, we're running short on time. This might be the last thing we do, but I'm going to teach you two things here: tritone substitutions and then 2/5s on tritone substitutions. So let's do it. I told you before, take any chord that you're going to. Let's say it's a C chord. And then before you play that C chord, find out what the 5 of it is. And then play that chord as a 7 chord. G7 leads into a C. Cool. So then a tritone away from G, tritone is 3 whole steps. 1, 2, 3. 3 whole steps. Or 6 half steps, either way. These 2 notes are a tritone away. And so what we do is, for reasons that we really don't want to get into right now, we can, instead of playing a G7 chord, we can tritone substitute that. We can use instead a C sharp 7 chord. Anywhere where there's a G7. Here's a G7. So we can try, instead of a G7, we could try a C sharp 7. Oof. I don't think this is going to work out at all. Let's find out. Oh, no, it did. I mean, I broke all kinds of stuff making it happen because it was supposed to be this chord, but the melody was right here. So I played that one. And I like it. Bummer. Okay. That was harmonic generalization there. And then we'll get to that later. Okay, so then that was tritone substitutions. Let's do one more. Let's do it actually right here. This is probably as convenient a place as any. So then a D chord is the 5 of G. So yes, absolutely. Rules are meant to be bent every now and then from the chat. I couldn't agree more. So then a tritone away from D. This is a D7 that leads into a G chord. So this is where we want to do a tritone substitution. So we're going to, instead of playing a D here, we're going to play the chord that is a tritone away. So whole step, whole step, whole step. And instead we're going to end up playing a G sharp 7 right here. So, or an A flat 7, depending on how you, probably A flat 7 is more common. Okay, so A flat 7. Now, in every case, yes, in every case, if you do this tritone substitution correctly, the substitution will be a half step above the chord that you're going to. Let's give you some practical application of that. The chord that we're going to is a G right here, right? Cool. The D leads to the G. The thing that we ended up on when we did our tritone substitution is a half step above G. So then kind of a shortcut for a tritone substitution is, let's go back to the beginning of the lesson, rewind. The very first thing we said was, any chord that you have, before you get to that chord, play the 5 of that chord, right? Cool. And then we were like, before, oh crud, what was the very first thing we did? We had another rule in there. Oh, a whole step below the backdoor dominant. So you don't have to do the dominant 5. You could do the backdoor dominant. So whatever chord you're going to, you could go a whole step below that one and play that dominant chord. And that also works. Now our third rule, because of tritone substitution rules, whatever chord you're going to, you can go a half step above that chord, and that's going to lead into that chord. And somewhere about now, people usually start feeling like, wait a second. Is there any chord that I can't go to before a chord and you're going to say that it leads into it? And depending on who you are, if you're like Herbie Hancock or Miles Davis, then you're like, no, of course, every chord can go into any other chord if you do it right. So we get more and more of these options. They kind of get farther and farther out. Farther out meaning like they're harder for the general public to hang on to. So this version here that I'm playing, well, if I go from the A flat, that's an A flat 7. I'm not playing it well here, but even if I did, a lot of people would be like, oh, you messed up a whole lot of those chords. And for me, I think I like the dissonance in there. So yes, kind of, you can go from any chord to any other chord as long as you do it confidently and you intended to do it and you adjust to try to make it work. But also, here are main 3 rules so far. That is, whatever chord you're going to, you can go to the 5 before it. You can, whatever chord you're going to, you can go a whole step below it. And whatever chord you're going to, you can go a half step above it and then land down on it. Now, what I just did there, I liked it actually. I did the D because I forgot we were going to do the A flat, and then I did the A flat right here. And that was cool. But that's just the tritone substitution. What I was supposed to teach you is 2 5s on tritone substitutions. So then, we go to our A flat. Cool, you with me? Because we're going to a G. And we said, what leads into a G? Well, a D leads into a G. And what is a tritone substitution of a D? It's an A flat. We're several steps into this thing at this point. A flat 7. And so now we're going to say, one step farther, what is the 5 of A flat? And the answer would be, well, that's an A flat chord. So this one right here, E flat, is the 5 of A flat. E flat. And in this case, we're going to make it a minor 7 chord. Why? Because I said, and we're almost out of time. But that's what a 2-5 is. Minor 7 to dominant, to 7. So then we're going to go lift every... Man, that's going to be tough to fit all that in. Okay, let me try that a couple more times. Lift every... I don't know if I like that there, but that is the concept behind a 2-5 tritone substitution is do the tritone substitution and then go to the 2 of that one and go cycle moves. Let's do it on one more. I don't think I want to use it there. I want to use it. Not there. Ah, right here. Yeah, cool. So then I'm going to use it right here on this one, going into the C. Okay, because we're almost out of time. Real quick, what is the 5 of C? Well, the 5 of C is G, right? And so then the G would lead into the C. However, we're going to tritone sub that, and we're going to go C sharp, 7 here. And what is the 2 of C sharp? What is the 5 of C sharp? Depending on how you would see it. 1, 3, 5, A flat. So we're going to go A flat minor 7 to C7. That is a tritone 2-5 that's going to lead into C. Let's see if we can do this. I like that a lot. Okay, that's all we have time for. And let's see if I can actually play this thing. Yikes. This is just going to be several tries. Here we go. No. That was a lot of stuff. That's the whole thing. We kind of did it on time. So until next time, go explore, mess up, have fun. Rock on, friends.